Action Team. I love that intro. Welcome to Purrfect Tactics, the podcast where we delve into the world of gray zone warfare and other tactical games. I'm your host, Benny, and joining me today are our friends Serpin, Leptic, Chris, and well, Berserker is just, he's crushing bugs right now, and he's not going to talk, but he's here because he didn't want to feel like he's being left out. Let me close. Why do I have ads on my Discord? Anyway, yeah, we're the combat action team. Hello, everybody. And we're here to provide some insights, updates, and engaging discussions. So let's ready up and dive in. This is our.
Until we wrote a script prior to this.
a little bit. This is our first podcast, so it's our inaugural show. So, do we have like a round of applause like thing? I guess that's close enough. We'll keep things pretty on point for this. So today we're gonna. I was looking for like hold on. Here we go. There we go. That's better. That was probably better than the first one. Anyhow, so what we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk a little bit about Combat Action Team, what we are, who we are, what we're trying to accomplish, et cetera, et cetera. And then we're also going to talk about gray zone warfare, what we know and why we are as a group and a team excited about it. We're going to talk about some other tactical games that we are currently playing, whether they're tactical or tactical. What's the word I'm looking for here? Lateral. Tactical lateral, like adjacent. That's what I was looking for. Thank you. Tactical adjacent. So like, you know, they're close enough, right? But they're not quite like immersive tactical gameplay. And then just kind of any other random things we want to talk about as far as news and whatnot. So, and as we grow our audience here, we will also, love feedback. And if you feel like joining us in our goofy ass Discord, come hang out. Will be a link in the description here on the podcast. So feel free to come hang out. But let's just dive into it. Combat Action Team. It's a tactical gaming community. We focus on tactical gaming. More specifically, we focus on playing video games in a immersive way as possible. We try to win. We try to play with the teamwork and cohesion, and we just like that kind of gameplay. And everyone here has kind of been friends for a long time, except for Chris. You're the outsider, sucker. But he's fit right in. I think he's already found his tribe. He's fit in like he's been here for years, and so welcome Chris. He's our newest cat member.
Brand
new cat member. So Combat Action Team. I like cat memes, not cats themselves. I like dogs, but I like cat memes because they're funny. Well, let's transition real quick. Gray zone warfare. Yeah. I think gray zone warfare is going to be an amazing game.
I agree.
I'm waiting to hear more about it. I spent a lot of time looking at the game and watching the videos and stuff about the developed team and the people they brought on as like advisors and stuff. The dude that apparently is their military advisor was Chechnyan Special Forces. Yeah. So I watched a whole interview with him, and the stuff looks good. I mean, you watch some of the gameplay footage, and the movement looks natural. The guns look good and everything. For as early as it is in the stages and stuff, I mean, it looks solid. It kind of gives me like almost a Ghost Recon Wildlands vibe.
Yeah. I think it's kind of like what was that, Chris?
It's only one map. There's only one map.
There is only one map.
It's a big map. It
is. I saw some articles today on potential map size. From what early folks are gathering from an article and a video is the LZs where you get inserted is about 1 kilometer from the town, and then the outposts are about 5 kilometers from there. So you guys can do the math of the vertical and lateral dimensions roughly somewhere, and that is the earlier thoughts right now.
Well, I think for instance, like Rust is probably like 16 kilometers, right? GTA was about 50 kilometers squared. And a Minecraft world, which Minecraft is, those worlds just seem to go on forever. But they're about 42 kilometers worth of map size. And I believe, what was the map size of Gray Zone Warfare? Was it 42 kilometers? I think it's 42 kilometers.
It was 42.7.
Yeah. So a 42 kilometer map, that's not a bad size map.
No.
I think they showed. I'll throw them on screen here in post. I saw some images of. I think it was on the Gray Zone Warfare Reddit. I saw it on, and it was the map in comparison to some of the maps like in Tarkov and stuff like that, and they kind of cut like a little box out and showed in proportion to what it looked like, and it still is a very substantial size map. A little bit smaller than some of those other maps, but still very substantial.
I actually think I saw the same exact thing you saw, Benny. That's what I was referencing when I said the 42.7. I saw the same exact image with the cutouts and any comparisons.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's not going to be procedural and it's all going to be set in place. Once people find the best, I guess, quote unquote, like camping spots, what do you do about that?
Yeah, that's like one of the problems in Tarkov, right? Is that you've got your spawns, and then you've got your extractions, and once you remember those extractions, you can pretty much just camp on the extraction point and wait for them to want to leave, and then kill them and get their loot.
Then the game just becomes a knowledge check.
It does.
Basically.
Hopefully the LZs are somewhat dynamic.
So what you're saying is a skill issue?
The factions, hopefully, maybe, I don't know, we'll be able to kind of choose from a few various locations. I don't know.
Maybe they could do like rotating.
Yeah, at random.
At random, you spawn here, and instead of it being like Tarkov, where if you spawn on the left side of the map, you know that your extraction's on the right side of the map. It could be more like, maybe you have an extraction in the middle of the map.
Well, one of the things they wanted to make sure that we cover is that, this is not a Tarkov-like game. Although, I don't know, I can kind of argue it to a certain point. There are elements there, right, where you go in and you get loot, right? But you are completing missions and objectives, and those missions and objectives, I think, from what I understand, they kind of carve the rest of the theater of operations that's happening around you, and the loot that you get or the objectives that you achieve can either help you in the next raid or the next mission. And then, of course, there's also vendors, and there's also tasks that are coming from the different vendors and the different marketplace people. So there are elements still to it, but.
Well, they put a large emphasis to, or the advisor put a large emphasis along with one of their media directors. They were talking about the different missions that he had partaken in real life, and he kind of walked them through the steps of, this is how we get from point A to B. It's not so much necessarily going in and just shooting everything that you see, but a lot of it ended up being, it's mostly reconnaissance and waiting and listening and seeing what's going on and then pushing in, which is a really unique game style for PvE. You can see some of that in other games, but specifically with like Gray Zone, I'm curious to know how that's going to work with PvP, or if you're going to be competing with all these other people, how much time do you really have to commit to doing this intelligence gathering, especially depending on the map size and how many people can be on a map at once. There's a lot of factors that will control exactly what the meta is of the way they want the game to be played versus how it's going to end up being played. And I think they got to find a way to control that as best as possible.
Yeah, and go ahead.
I think from what I've gathered so far, if somebody else has heard differently, obviously, speak up. You're kind of faction locked. There being 3 factions, so I think once you start down a path with a particular faction, that is your faction.
Well, I was watching some videos on that, right? And from people who know a lot more about this, we're super excited from a team perspective. Just a bunch of knuckleheads that have gotten together that are watching videos. We're not a source of truth or a source of knowledge by any means necessary. But I was watching some videos about the factions, and apparently there's still some mechanics that they're working out. But I remember the head guy at Madfinger Games, who's the developer of this game, explain a little bit about how they're going to go about factions. And what he wants is every action that a player can make, right?
Has a reaction.
Well, not only that, but he wants the ability for that player to make that decision, right? He doesn't want to change the player decisions at all or bottleneck them, which means if there was like, say, PvP where you killed another person of the same faction, right? There should be consequences that are around that. And whether that means that you become a bounty or you become a rogue to where you don't actually have a faction, you're factionless. I can see that turning into like a whole thing of like, we are the rogues and like everybody is now factionless, right? Right. Which could be an interesting element to the game. But then they were talking about that if you were rogue, you could either possibly join another faction, or you can even go and look at the PvE AI groups and try to get buddy with them and try to go in with those guys as well. So
interesting.
Yeah, again, there's so many different ways that they can take this, but it'd be an interesting perspective on, well, how do you get past team killing, right? And not that it's necessarily team killing, because it's just faction and it's PvP. It's PvEP. Wow. PvE VP.
Yep.
I did it.
From what I've heard, they actually are talking about having just PvE servers.
I heard something to that effect as well.
Which is
potentially.
There's going to be a huge uproar about that if that ends up being the case. Because why, if there's something that has a certain rarity in the game, you know, something that's very hard to find, 1 in 500, 1 in 1,000, 1 in 5,000, whatever you want to be, and you have the ability to go into a PvE server and obtain it account wide to where you can use it in a PvP setting, you've just completely tilted the entire dynamic of a game.
Absolutely.
Like that.
That's actually an interesting fact, and Serpent may know a little bit about this too. World of Warcraft, which is not a first-person shooter, has a mechanic similar to this, right? So in World of Warcraft, right, there are different types of servers. You have player versus player, player versus everything, and then you have RP servers, right? And the way that Blizzard models that is that if you have a PvP server, right, and you've played along that, you can transfer freely to a PvE server because you've effectively gathered all the same stuff with a little bit more difficulty, right? But if you try to go from a PvE server to a PvP server, it will not allow you. You have to make a brand new character and everything, specifically to incentive or specifically to deter people from doing that exact same thing. So I would imagine, or I would hope that if they were going to integrate something like that, you know, just a simply PvE server, no player versus player, that they would take a step back and look at, you know, kind of the same dynamics and follow suit with maybe the same policy and prevent people from just, you know, swapping over and having the upper hand on all these other newer players.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think it could just be a matter of there could be different missions and different things within the PvE or the PvP, right? Yeah. But then there's also the concept that it's PvE VP, where it's from what I remember, and again, this is all kind of just all theory because we don't 100%. We don't. Yeah. It's all conjecture. We don't actually know 100%. But from my understanding, the game in of itself is PvE, right? It's primarily PvE, and it's designed to bring real missions to the players by way of the traders that are within the game, right? Within your save zone. And that's another cool thing we can talk about here in a second, is that there is no like spawning or loading menus once you initially connect to the server, because when you quote unquote extract out, you're not extracting back to the menu like you do, say, in Tarkov. You're extracting to an area of the map that is the green zone. And that is there's no friendly fire. But there's other areas that are semi-friendly where you would go and you could do certain things with, with your
fob-based kind of thing.
Yeah, your fob-based stuff. And it's kind of safe, but it still has, friendly fire turned on. So there's probably gonna be one of those like code of ethics, like you get in like, say, I know you keep using Tarkov as a reference, but if you're doing a scav run at Tarkov, there's kind of like this code of ethics amongst everyone who's doing a scav run, like don't shoot the other scavs, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And not to draw on this entire topic, right? But like in addition to that, they really could take on like almost like a Helldivers approach where it's the whole game is just base centric off this PvE element and co-op or single player if you want. And then they could introduce almost like with PvP servers, you can still bring in the stuff from PvE, but maybe a ranked system based off PvP that matches people of similar skill levels or something of that sort.
Once you introduce skill-based matchmaking into a game, you are opening up a can of worms.
The way I see it would be like, okay, so you could have a 4-man squad. That's what we've know so far as a 4-man squad, and you can have X amount of factions. I think it's like 48 people total on a server instance, right? And from what I understand is that everybody would be doing different missions. And so like my 4-man squad would go off and do a mission, and we might cross paths with another 4-man squad that's getting ready to go do their own mission, right? Because it's a living world, living map. And so we could all be going to do the exact same mission, right? And we could be approaching it completely different, where I want to approach it, or our squad decides we're going to approach it with a little bit more stealth, right? And a little more tact, because we know from intel that if we go in there guns a-blazing, they're going to call in QRF, they're going to call in reinforcements, and then we're going to be in a gunfight that we probably can't handle. And then you have another team that's over there, freaking Leroy Jenkins, and they go in and start just freaking popping off. And now we're stuck in a firefight that we didn't anticipate.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I mean, that's the same thing you get with I know we keep referencing the game Tarkov, but you have the Chads versus the Crabs. Like, are you going to be the Chad player? Are you going to be the guy that runs in there, shoots first, asks questions later? Or are you going to be the guy that's going to kind of survey the situation and look at it and be like, well, and start weighing out your engagements? Is this worth it?
Well, I mean, and a good way of doing that too, if you guys have ever played Ready or Not, right? Like in Call of Duty, I can expend an entire magazine killing one guy, but in Ready or Not, you forget one guy across the corner, take 2 rounds to the chest, and you're dead.
Yeah.
Damage modifiers and adding this element of like you run in there, you get shot once by a group of dudes just surrounding you, you're dead. There is no getting shot a couple times and running behind the wall and healing yourself. But if the damage is applied almost similar to like something like Ready or Not, then people are forced to take a more tactful step at engaging anything or moving into anything or watching their surroundings, because you fail in one aspect or the other, and now you're dead. Everything you had is lost.
And I think that's going to be an interesting way of like looking at it, right? Because it's based off of Unreal Engine 5, right? So it is a new age engine, new gen gaming engine, UE5. So it's going to be interesting to see how the AI, right, how they operate, how they function, right? If they're going to be using, the type of AI that you get in Ready or Not, which are difficult as hell, right? If they're going to be dummy. But I do know from watching some of the videos that the AI, based off of, and I don't think this is going to be available for launch on the EA. I think early access, or like their early access comes out April 1st. So just in a couple of weeks. But there's going to have day and night cycles, right? And
as well as weather.
And weather, right. So, but if day and night, it was tsunamis because it's in Southeast Asia is the area of the map. But the AI patrols tsunamis. The area of patrols, or what the AI is doing during the day and versus at night, would be completely different, and the missions that are available between day and night will also be completely different as well. And so that's going to be a lot of fun trying to figure that out.
For everyone listening, I think he meant typhoons, not tsunamis.
Yeah.
I don't think. I mean,
Imagine
actually,
playing that game and it's just this giant tidal wave comes rolling through the whole map.
I don't know if I'm at either one of those. Actually, what happens when it floods? It rains a lot and then it floods. Is it a typhoon?
Not a fucking tsunami.
A tsunami?
It floods from a tsunami, but it doesn't come from the sky.
Waterworld, real
I
quick.
think that's a kind of a good segue into, or at least from I gathered during the interview where they were interviewing their consultant, if you will, the Ketchian Spec Ops guy. Choosing your kits, I think, is a big part.
Yeah.
In how you approach a mission, and I think maybe whether day-night cycle as well as weather might come into play with that as well.
Weather, night, your visibility, your illume factor, right, et cetera, et cetera. Those are all going to be things. So it'd be cool if there's IR strobes and all that kind of good stuff. I'm kind of dipping into my Arma days here, but so awesome. Gray Zone Warfare. If you are like us and you think that Gray Zone Warfare is something that you want to monitor and track and get involved with, come check us out. Check us out at combataction.team. You can see a link to our Discord there. Yes, that is correct. Combataction.team. And come check out our Discord. There's also a link down below in the description to our Discord. So come check us out and follow along with us as we watch Gray Zone Warfare come to fruition. Hopefully it's not like another day before or last or whatever it was called, where it was a scam, but this is Mad Finger Games. They're an established studio. They make a lot of mobile games.
They show their faces.
They do developer interviews. They actually had one with one of the writers, which was pretty cool. He got drunk in like less than 20 minutes off of one beer. It was fantastic.
Single beer.
A single beer, and he was twisted towards the end. It was great. So transitioning real quick, some other games we're playing right now. Well, you can probably hear in the background some music that I've been playing this entire time, and that's the Helldivers 2 lobby that I'm in right now.
We didn't even ask the most important questions of Gray.
What?
Most important questions: ballistics.
Well, we can listen here, nerd.
And the most important question: anti-cheat.
Well, it's gonna it's gonna have easy anti-cheat to begin with, but it's gonna be one of those things where, we'll get into all that on the next episode of Purrfect Tactics. Helldivers 2. Helldivers 2 is fantastic. That's all I have to say about Helldivers 2. Except for the fact that you can't get into the server.
Well, it's fantastic unless you're on Ben's team, in which case he just blows you up every chance he gets.
Look, it's not my fault that you don't know how to stay away from the front of my muzzle when I'm fucking popping off grenades, okay? Yeah.
I think that's your fault. I said frags, not guns.
No rebuttal. You're all quiet because I owned you.
It's because you look like a bug leptic.
Probably because I'm dead.
Because I'm dead. I can't hear because I'm dead. What are some other games? We got, so we're playing Helldivers 2. We're all been having a lot of fun with that. And that's kind of been holding us over, grinding, diving again. So come check that out if you're looking for some players to play Helldivers 2 with, if that sounds like something that you're into. What is
satire of that game is hands down what is keeping people entertained in the community. I think if they made that game just any blatant first-person shooter killing bugs, it would be its own thing. But this whole feel of satire, like we had with Stormship Troopers and stuff, really add some comedic relief while you are getting completely slammed by everything around you.
It's just hilarious. All the little Easter eggs, all the little details to just the satire is just hilarious. What else? I know Berserker's here. He's kind of our guru. Beautiful Light is a game that we're watching as well. Another tactical. It looks kind of like a GTFO. Get a GTFO game.
Stranger Things. Yeah.
Kind of situation. What else? Actually, we have a game, just so you guys are watching my Discord here, but we do have a game radar forum on our Discord. And so a couple of the games we're watching, we're looking at Space Marine Warhammer, which might come out sometime this year. That's with Henry Cavill. He's involved in that project. So super nerd.
Well, he's not in the game, but the timing would be perfect because they're planning on releasing the series. Or well, there's no official date yet. A couple months ago, they were talking about 2006, and then as of recently, February, they started talking about this year. They've started at least recording, or they're going to start filming this year, but. I think the game would be a really nice engagement for people who are looking into playing the game because I've never played any of the Warhammer games, but I love Henry Cavill. So
yeah, is it Cavill or Cavell?
I'm pretty sure it's Cavill.
Okay, well, Henry, come hang out. Would that be something if he just joined our Discord? He's like, actually, guys, it's. I'm like, dude, can I lick your nipples?
I played Warhammer Rogue Trader, but that's a turn-based. That's more like Baldur's Gate 3.
I think this one's going to be kind of like a Gears of War type situation.
It looks very much so.
I played the first one.
Okay.
Yeah, Dark Tide, was it?
No, the first Marines.
Gotcha.
This is the second one. The first one I played.
We're also watching. Go ahead. Finish. Go ahead.
I forgot what I was going to say. Anyways,
God, you're so terrible at this. Just you're never invited ever again.
Actually, Ben, I had something.
Yeah. Don't do that.
No, I forgot.
Don't do that. Okay, anyway, I hate you, dude. Don't. Oh my God. Anyway, I'm cutting this whole section out. Another game we're watching is Arc Raiders. That's an extraction shooter. I can click on this. It looks pretty cool. Little extraction shooter type situation in space. I think. I don't know exactly, but it looks pretty cool. And we also watching Out of Action, which is another action combat, Beautiful Light, which we talked about. Dungeonborn, it's more tactical adjacent, but it's still team based. That one is also something that we're kind of watching. And then also Skull and Bones. Skull and Bones, I haven't played it yet. You can get a free trial for like 8 hours and check it out. I know another one of our members here, he is playing Skull and Bones and he kind of likes it. He says he would like it better if he had some friends to play with. And I told him, we'll get some friends. Yeah, that's Ghost I'm talking.
I tried to play Skull and Bones, man. I can't do it. I try. I gave it the good old college try, and it just was not.
So you dropped out in the first semester?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
What is it? Just all PvP, or is it like?
It's an action art. It's kind of like an action RPG. So it's kind of like it's more like an MMO. It's more like an MMO. Skull and Bones is more like an MMO action RPG type situation.
What was that other super popular game that was?
Sea of Thieves.
Yeah, Sea of Thieves. That's what I was thinking.
It's similar.
Way better. Sea of Thieves is a way better game to Skull and Bones. Oh yeah. If you're gonna get into Skull and Bones, just go play Sea of Thieves.
Gotcha. Is it the same type of game though?
Kind of.
Not completely. Like there are aspects of Skull and Bones that are more MMO RPG than Sea of Thieves. Sea of Thieves is more instance based.
Right.
You kind of go in. You're doing essentially it's a procedural map, and you're doing your missions on that map, or you're looking for things like the Athenas, etc. But the overall experience feels very similar, and Sea of Thieves does a way better job at it, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, it is Ubisoft, so there should be a way to like pay to win or something, surely.
There's got to be some kind of microtransactions that really just boost everything.
We've all played Assassin's Creed. We know how this works.
Yeah, exactly. But so our first podcast, we're focusing heavily on Gray Zone Warfare. So if you like to talk more about Gray Zone Warfare, come hang out with us. Join the Discord. Hang out with cool people like me. These other jokers, they're just here for the ride. I've actually known everyone except for Chris. I've known everyone here for many, many, many years. So give you some background on us. We all come from a really heavy milsim background. We did Arma milsim for a long time. We did squad milsim for a long time as well, and we've built some eternity. We've built some very large milsim communities in the past, and now we want to focus our efforts on a more immersive tactical game style of community. So if that sounds like something that you're into, come hang out. And we're gonna shoot for every month, and we might go fortnightly, which for people here, fortnightly means every other week. We might do that, or we might go to monthly, depending on how many people
Depends
we
on
get.
how much he pays us.
Yeah.
Can I
Wait,
pay
you're
the
getting
first thing.
paid?
Yeah, you're the
Yeah,
new
he didn't-
guy, so you don't
Wait,
get
he
paid.
didn't tell you were getting paid?
Oh
Oh,
man.
my bad. I didn't mean to bring that up then. Just
Yeah.
Still on probation.
Yeah. You're still on the 30-day probationary period.
You're an
You know what
intern.
game I have been playing that's addicting as all get out?
What's that?
Deep Rock Galactic Survival.
Oh, you're one of those nerds.
Bro, I am a gamer through and through. I've told you this.
This guy's he's
my
like, you know what
first-
game I've been playing that I really Escape Room 2. You know what I mean? Like just to really
Escape Room.
I prefer
man, like-
Minesweeper or Solitaire.
Hey, so true story. Did you know that Solitaire is the #1 played game in history?
Did
Yeah,
you
'cause
know
it's
that I
included on
just
everything.
figured out how to play Solitaire 3 months ago?
It's not Tetris?
No.
Hardcore gamer you are, Elliptic.
No, Solitaire. Back in, I forgot what year it was, but like it had over like 9 billion hours played of Solitaire.
Holy
makes sense.
cow.
Because it came standard on every Dell and Gateway since the early
And if
90s.
you're bored at work, what did you used to do? Pull up Solitaire.
Hold on,
Sure,
sorry.
the
The-
Minesweeper.
Oh,
The front
Minesweeper.
desk people at my apartment building, that's all they do all day is they play Solitaire and eventually wait for people to come in and talk to them.
I still don't know how to play Minesweeper. I still don't. I'll never learn how to play
I
that
can
game.
teach you. It's very easy.
We'll teach you. Yeah,
Well, I mean, you gave it the college try, which is drop out in the first semester. So I don't know if you can actually handle it or not. So, all right, everyone. Well, thank you so much for coming and hanging out, and yeah, we'll see you. We'll see you next time on the Purrfect. Oh, I didn't. Hold on. To try it again on Purrfect Tactics. Brought to you by Combat Action Team. Combat Action Team.